for everything. Well, today, however, that has since changed. A Village Savings and Loan Association or VSLA movement has taken hold there and is now providing economic freedom, not just for refugees, but for some of the impoverished local populace as well. The smell of baking bread fills the air as Subahiro Safi and her staff tend to their dough with loving and gentle hands. They knead and beat the dough before cutting it out and rolling out the desired shapes. The dough goes onto a tray and then into this rudimentary wood-fired oven. 5 quick minutes and the bread is ready to go. The setting reminiscent of any of 1,000 bakeries strewn out across rural Africa, turning out bread for a hungry populace. But wait, there is something different here. Mama Safi, as this lady is fondly known, is a 43-year-old refugee of Congolese origin. She is a widow with 3 children of her own and 14 others adopted from the camp. She also has several grandchildren. The setting is the sprawling Kakuma refugee camp. Mama Safi fled from conflict in her home to arrive here in 2011 with just the clothes on her back.
Nilikimbia vita, nilitoka kwetu 2011 na nikaingia hapa Kenya. Nilikata mpaka matumaini ya kuishi, lakini kuna watu walinielekeza, kuna kampuni inasaidia wakimbizi. Nilienda, wakanifikisha hapo. Wakati ilikuwa ni Hilda ndiye anafanya, akanifanyisha interview, akaangalia tu hali yangu gisi nilikuwa ni mzaifu, mgonjwa. Alinianzisha na shilingi 5,000.
Today she and her staff are working hard to fill an order from bread from a nearby school. They will make several thousand small rolls and from these earn about 50,000 shillings.
Wakasema wana apply watu wa kupiga mikate. Kupeleka mkate Angelina Jolie. Nikajiamini kama mama shujaa. Nika apply. Nilipofika kweli mkate wangu ukakubalika na mpaka leo ninapeleka mkate WFP, ninapiga mpaka workshop. Kuna makampuni WFP kuna wakati inaniita, tuko na mastafu napiga chakula. Chai inaniita, naenda napiga chakula. Hali yangu si mbaya.
Mama Safi is part of what can be termed a new breed of refugee, one that has chosen to gain economic independence and stop being dependent on the NGOs which run the camp for everything. She now runs several businesses, including one that is focused on embroidery with a Congolese touch. Her wares selling as far away as Australia.
Haikutosha hiyo faida nilipata. Nikaona pana, hii pesa inakuwa nyingi kwa mkono. Acha niweke akiba. Nilinunua mashine ya kushona 150,000 ya Makenya. Ndio kama mnaona hivi napendeza, ni hiyo mashine yangu. Iko hapa AWF. Hata wote mwenye atataka akiwa Mkenya, akiwa refugee, karibuni mashine iko hapo.
She says she owes it all to the Village Savings and Loan Concept, an initiative of the Lutheran World Federation LWF under the Sustainable Livelihood Sector Program. LWF is the longest serving and biggest implementing partner for the United Nations High Commission for Refugees in Kakuma. The organization is headquartered in Kakuma and provides humanitarian services to the thousands of refugees in the Kakuma camps and the recently established Kalobeye refugee settlement area.
We had intentions to make sure that these people are self-reliant, that they are not going to sit back because of their vulnerability to wait for aid only. And many of them have actually transited that period where they will be dependent on aid. Some of them are doing business. One started as a catering group, transited into a baker, and she's doing very well for herself.
The Sustainable Livelihood Sector Program under LWF has greatly contributed to the reduction of poverty in Turkana West Sub-County.
So some of these women, when they get an opportunity of a livelihood, then the whole family gains. Some of them have been able to take their children to school. We know of one case where a woman has taken a child all the way to the university, having started very small in this VSLA. And the level of livelihoods on their lives, the quality of life they are living today is different from when they started.
The VSLA concept works by bringing together members who in this case are either refugees or from the local Turkana community, to pool their savings, which are then disbursed as small loans to members. It is a method of collective financial development that is having an increasingly major impact on financial independence and inclusion in Kakuma.
These people are pastoralists. We are also encouraging them to do other things other than relying on livestock. We are training them to do small agricultural activities, to engage in small businesses, selling grocery, selling cereals, selling clothes, so that they don't have to rely exactly on livestock. And then when there is drought and they are wiped out, then they remain vulnerable.
The Bukavu VSLA is just one of the groups that meets in the refugee camp. The group's leader says it is a concept that has made a world of difference for its members.
Hii kikundi kweli naweza nikapenda kiendelea hata kidumu kwa nani zote hizi kabisa, watu wakuwe nayo, sababu inatusaidia sana kabisa. Na hata ile watu wakiwa wakilialia, leo nilie, kesho nilie, unakuta saa hii kabisa ile kulia ya watu si sana kabisa. Hata saa hii tulikuwa tukitegemea chakula ya ration, tunakula ADES, lakini saa hii siwezi tena kutamani kwamba eti kila siku nikule ADES. Najua kwamba eti tayari niko na pesa zangu, nitaenda kununulia watoto kilo moja ya nyama watakula. Na ninaweza nikapenda iendelee zaidi hata ya hapa.
Helen Lipo is a livelihoods officer with LWF. She says that the main objective of the program is to enable vulnerable groups in the camp and those in the host community to achieve sufficient and sustainable livelihoods.
VSLA is a small bank initiated at the community level, which serves the most vulnerable people in the community.
The sustainable livelihood sector is one of the programs under LWF that has greatly contributed to the reduction of poverty in Turkana West sub-county. The main objective is to enable vulnerable groups in the camp and those in the host community to achieve sufficient and sustainable livelihoods. Since inception, the VSLA has helped members mobilize millions in shares. In fact, some of the individual village micro-savings groups already have over 1 million shillings in savings and shares. With the savings and loan associations having done so well, there is now a need to move some of them into the cooperative movement. For some, like Mama Safi though, they now face the challenge of moving their businesses to the next level. But not before, they say, helping mentor the next generation of women in business in the refugee camp and in the neighboring community. Peter Okaba, KTN News. Indeed, an amazing story right there coming to us from Kakuma, the efforts that the refugees and indeed members of the local community are putting in to be able to make a difference, not just for themselves, their families, but indeed for their community. And of course, provide jobs and employment for the youth in that area. More to come on such stories right here on KTN News, but of course, that for another day. Now we turn to the interview of the day, where I have with me in studio Njoki Karua. She is CEO at the Keroche Foundation and is here to talk to us about what that organization has been doing exactly. Well, to be able to bring youth into the jobs market, giving them skills, training them, giving them the technology that they need to be able to become relevant in one way or another. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Now, part of the challenge in Kenya today has been that the youth will go to school, but they will come out with skills which are not usually very useful for organizations such as Keroche. And a lot indeed has gone into what they're calling now TVET, the technical and vocational training that enables them get these sorts of skills and training. What is your organization doing about that?
One of the challenges I think we have realized with the current education system is that it preps students or it preps young adults for the employment sector. So the children grow up with a mindset that once they get out of campus or college, the next destination then is an office. And we have seen that there are challenges with the economy, so we are not employing as many people, we're not able to absorb all the graduates who are coming out from the campuses and the colleges. And yet, there's a huge potential within the demographic dividend of young people if we can encourage them to get into entrepreneurship. Now, what does that mean? It means working with the students and helping them identify their passion or their gifts or their talents, and then using that to bring them revenue. Instead of them going out to look for somebody to pay them, then they become the employers. So as Keroche Foundation, what the CEO of Keroche Breweries, it comes from Keroche Breweries, what she wanted to do was to give back to society by working with entrepreneurs,
Yes.
and more so to encourage young people to get into entrepreneurship, because this is the best avenue towards wealth creation, towards reducing unemployment, and towards poverty eradication,
Yes.
which seems to be the narrative associated with Africa. And yet this can change, because everybody else, the West, the East, they've all seen the economic opportunities that are in Africa, and they are coming in droves to develop the continent. But the revenue that they get, they take it back home.
Yes.
So we continue to remain poor. However, if Africans were to own their own development and rise through entrepreneurship, then we can change the narrative.
So the question then for a lot of young Kenyans out there who are really energetic and want to really do the things that we're talking about is, what is the first step? Where do we even begin to start? We've seen initiatives like the Tujajuri program by KCB and others. And in your case, where would you say is the first thing that people can do so as to be able to give them literally a toehold into the economy?
Yeah. It's very simple. You just start.
Yes.
That's the message that we always give. You just start with what you have, with where you are. Young people tend to think that you have to have your ducks in order. You must have the capital in place, the office in place, the personnel in place, but you just need to just start with where you are. And then from there, just keep going, because challenges are there. But you need to have the strength to appreciate the challenges, take risks, and move. And that is what this program is about. It works with people who've been in the industry, who we call captains of industry.
Yes.
And coaches, experts of entrepreneurship, and we connect them with the entrepreneurs so that the entrepreneurs can hear their stories and see that these people who are already at the top of their game did not start there. They started somewhere, the same place where they are, but through persistence, through focus, through working with mentors, reading stories, experiencing other people, you begin to appreciate that it can be done.
Yes.
So that is what we do. And so the academy trains people on various aspects, from the importance of legal matters, from the importance of hiring the right personnel, branding, making sure that your products and your services are branded properly, standardizing your products or services to make sure that you're providing the same quality of staff across board. No one is complaining that theirs is better than the other. Innovation, you have to keep innovating. Do not be afraid of competition. Just look at what is out there and continue to innovate. Stay ahead of the game. We look at marketing strategies. We look at public relations. We look at financing. Where can you get financing? A lot of young people, they get into a business or entrepreneurship, but they eat all the revenue.
Yes.
Yeah, which we say is like stealing from your business. Because you need to give yourself a salary like everyone else and reinvest the revenue, the income back into the business so it can grow. And also look at when someone is starting a business, they will hire someone. Do the multiplier effect, and you see, starting up a business is one of the fastest ways of dealing with unemployment.
As we begin to wind up, because we're almost out of time, the key question for a lot of people is that about 80% of this country depends on agriculture. So most jobs would be in the agriculture value chain. For organizations such as yourself, you mostly import things like barley, the raw materials you use. This means there's opportunities for people to sort of start doing these things.
Yes, there's a lot of opportunity. Yes, continue.
Yes. So essentially, what do the youth need to do to get into these value chains again?
First and foremost is to understand where the gaps are.
Yes.
Any successful entrepreneurship provides a solution to a problem. So if young people can just do their research first, identify where are the key gaps, and then provide solutions to that, and they will be on their way to success.
Yes.
The reason why we import some of the things is because we don't have sufficient quantities of what we require inside the country. Now, if we had young people who would then understand that they need to do this and do this to the highest quality possible, then they provide a market for themselves, and not only for Kenyan manufacturers, but even outside Kenya.
Yes.
So it's just about providing a solution. Do your research. And it doesn't have to be expensive research. Just do your research, identify where the gaps are, and provide the solutions.
Okay, indeed, we have to cut it short right there, but we did not have much time. But just to say that we'll have you back in the studio, because these are lots of things that people want to talk about, and the fact that there indeed is a very big conversation that is still going on online and which will continue. So indeed, unfortunately, viewers, we have to cut it short right there, but indeed say thank you very much for coming. Well, just to remind you that in a few minutes we will be bringing you World View, which brings you, well, news from across the region and indeed from right across the world. We'll be with you again next week at the same time for more on KTN Business Today. But for now, from us in studio, it is Kwaheri, and see you next week. Have yourselves a good afternoon. My name is Peter Wakaba.